Hey, it's Meg. Welcome back to the podcast. I hope you're having a great week. Today we're going to be talking about being selfish and why it's okay to be selfish sometimes. And honestly, it's probably in everyone's best interest. We're all a little bit selfish sometimes. Full transparency, this episode is kind of a reminder to myself that I need to be more selfish and prioritize myself more. I think it's scary to admit that we want to be selfish or we are being selfish because the word has a negative connotation with it. And I just want to talk about today why it doesn't necessarily have to and why I don't personally think it should. I just want to say, getting into the bulk of the episode, if you're watching the video version, I do have my notebook in front of me, so if I'm looking down, it's because I wrote out some points that I want to touch on today. So let's get into the bulk of the episode. I think it's great to be selfless and to care for those around you and put others first and want to, take care of others before you take care of yourself sometimes. But I think it's also important to remind yourself that you deserve to put yourself first in certain moments and situations, and it shouldn't make you feel bad about yourself or make you feel bad in general. I think the key is finding a balance, and that's something I'm still working on, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend I have it all figured out. I most certainly do not, but I think it's something that going into the new year, I really want to focus on. Even just talking about this makes me have a little bit of a pit in my stomach because it is uncomfortable, because we're taught from childhood to share and put others first and be considerate and courteous. And yes, those things are all amazing and things that I believe in and think people should prioritize. But I think somewhere along the way it got lost that we also need to take care of ourselves. And I know I'm not the only one who struggles with this. It's a fine line between when people view you taking care of yourself and being too selfish, or being selfless and not having respect for yourself. And I definitely wobble over the line a lot, and it's not great, but I want to be really transparent about it because it is something that I know a lot of people have a hard time with, and it's very confusing. And I think a big part of it is, if you're around my age, like early 20s, you're still kind of filtering out other people's opinion of you. It's something that I have gotten better at this year, I think, and not necessarily caring what other people think I do with my life in terms of career and who I'm friends with and my hobbies. That I don't really care about. I am very self-aware, or just aware, and overthink how other people perceive me, and if they think I'm a good person, or if they think I handled certain situations appropriately, or if they think I'm mean, if I'm being selfish, or if I say no to plans, does that make me a bad friend? I get very in my head about it. So just to clarify, I'm not talking about the kind of selfish of taking the last cookie at a Christmas party, or I don't know, stupid stuff like that. I mean, stop being selfish in a way of people pleasing. You don't need to people please 24/7. I'm fully saying this to myself right now because I'm really bad about it. People pleasing is essentially doing anything for the people around you, whether you're close to them or not, to get their approval or I can't say this word. I mean, appreciate. Fuck. Oh God. Appreciation. That was good. Appreciation. Basically what I'm trying to say is people pleasing is doing anything to put the people around you first, regardless of if you get that appreciation or not, and regardless of how the actions you're taking to please these people makes you feel. I am beyond guilty of this. It is ridiculous. It is so bad, honestly. It's one of probably the biggest things I need to work on. A few weeks ago, I was talking about this topic with my friends, and one of my best friends told me that I am one of the, if not the biggest people pleasery people she knows. That's a tongue twister. Say it 10 times. And she was not saying this from like a mean, hateful place. She was just like being brutally honest with me and kind of calling me out my bullshit, that it's something I need to be better about. And I did take like, not offense, but it didn't make me happy. Like, I don't want that to be my MO, or like, not what I'm known for, but I want to be able to like be looked at as someone who respects himself and takes care of themselves and is also selfless and caring and considerate, but not to the point where I disregard like my own needs and my own feelings about certain situations and prioritizing what I want in life. I think it gets hard to remind yourself that you don't need to people please, or remind yourself that it's okay to be selfish because of the negative connotation that selfish has with it. I often get wrapped up in the idea of, okay, if I am choosing to be more selfish, are other people going to notice and think I'm a bad person? Or is this too selfish? Like, is this good for me? Or am I crossing the line of being too selfish now where everyone's going to hate me and I'm being a bad person? And I think one of the best things to kind of keep those thoughts from spiraling and talk yourself down is remembering that it's kind of the quote where it's like, a narcissist won't ever consider that they're a narcissist or think that they could be a narcissist, because they just don't care. They're so into themselves and consumed by themselves that they don't even think about how others are approaching them. It kind of is the same thing, because narcissists are like inherently selfish. If you are so worried and mindful of being selfish, I would say 99% of the time you're not being selfish and you're actually just being courteous by even thinking about that. So if you're like me and you get really wrapped up in, am I being too selfish? Am I pushing this too far? Just remind yourself, if you're thinking about it, you're already being considerate and courteous, and you're probably just fine. And if not, someone's going to call you out on your bullshit eventually, so like, it'll all work itself out. Now, I know I've kind of gone on this long tangent about how it's something I struggle with, I'm not good at being selfish, blah, 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 blah. And I want to take a brief moment, a little disclaimer that I am selfish in some areas, and I have my moments where I'm selfish and not in the best way. Everyone does. We're not perfect. We're all figuring this whole life shit out for the first time. But there are things that I am selfish about that I will continue to be selfish about. Some of them are like really stupid, but I think one thing I know I'm selfish about is like my personal space, or like situations and like being comfortable in spaces. I have really bad social anxiety that's kind of developed over the last couple years, and I'm working through it, but I'm not at a point where I'm like sucking it up just for the sake of something. Like, if something's making me sick to my stomach thinking about going, I'm not going. End of story. I'm just not there yet. And while I am trying to push myself out of my comfort zone, I also know if I push myself too quickly, it could do negative damage. So I'm a little bit selfish with openness to plans and where I want to go and situations I'm comfortable in. I also think I'm selfish in more like superficial things. Like, I will always fight for the inside seat at a booth at a restaurant. It just makes me more comfortable. I don't like people I don't know walking by me. I just have a better time when I sit on the inside. So I will always ask, I want to be on the inside. I don't even ask, I just say it, that I want to be on the inside. I don't know what it is, but I've always been that way. Another stupid little thing, well, not stupid, because I do have like a reason, is I'm always either the driver, preferably the driver, because I get really bad anxiety in cars and I like to be in control, or passenger princess. I don't sit in the back seat. Even when I'm like going the same place as my parents, I will drive separately just so I don't have to be in the back seat. And also, other people's driving makes me like queasy. And I always call shotgun. Like, I don't care if my sister's in the car, I'm getting shotgun, because like I get kind of car sick, not to the point where I like actually get sick, but I get very nervous and anxious, and I grab the oh shit handle and I'm the worst backseat driver you could ever imagine. So honestly, everyone in my like personal life knows this and just has given up and kind of like lets me do it, which is very nice of them. But if it ever came to be a situation where there was someone who genuinely got like physically car sick and actually was going to get sick, I would like to think that I would give my passenger princess seat up. But I can't guarantee that. Actually, that sounds so bad. I probably would. I really think I would. No, I most definitely would. Not me having to convince myself. Anyway, let's move on. I think it's fine to have certain things you want to be selfish about. That's what this whole episode's about, is finding what those things are and what's important to you and what you want to prioritize. Those are some things that I already do prioritize. But I think I have a few more and like my reasons for wanting to be more selfish. So let's dive into that. My number one reason that I've come to the conclusion that this is the year that I fully just prioritize myself and not do what other people expect me to do or want me to do is it is my life and I deserve it to live it how I want and like live it for myself. I'm not going to get into like anything super deep, but I have been really struggling over the last couple of years and really trying to deeply find a reason to live and like get through each day, and I'm finally starting to feel better, and I want to take advantage of that and really just like throw myself into doing all the things that I want to do just because I like them, and like regardless if other people like them or not. I also think another big telltale sign that I need to work on this is that I'm uncomfortable with it, and so it makes me want to be more selfish to kind of break past that and not feel as guilty for little things. I had this conversation with my friend last week that I have a lot of anxiety around my phone and like answering people, and not just like answering in general, but answering in a timely manner. If my friend texts me or calls me and I miss the text or call, I immediately feel so much guilt, and it's like, I understand if it was like, hey, let's call at this time, and I completely blow it, forget, don't pick up the phone. That makes sense to me. Like, okay, you made a commitment to like talk to someone at a certain time, you should probably stick to that. But it'll be like a random text. Like my friend will send me a TikTok and I don't see it for 5 minutes and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I was like in the shower, I was doing this, or blah blah blah. Like I always give an explanation, and that's so stupid. Like I don't owe anyone the need to like drop everything at any second for a stupid text. Now, if one of my friends was going through a crisis and needed me and like called me, I'm not going to ignore that. I usually will pick up the phone and be like, hey, is this important? Or like I try to, especially if it's like I'm about to leave my house and go somewhere, or I'm like finally going to go to bed and I have a really bad sleep schedule, so I've been trying to prioritize sleep. I usually ask like, hey, is this important? Or like, can we talk another time? Like, I'm doing this right now. Never once has I ever gotten like bitched out by anybody for that, or like anyone been offended. Like everyone completely understands, and I always completely understand when someone else says that to me. But in my like brain while it's happening, I think that people are going to be so mad at me if I'm just like not constantly available 24/7 to them. And realistically, like I'm not 12. Like I have real life adult responsibilities and things I need to like attend to. I can't be available to everyone 24/7. It's just not possible, and I need to work on not feeling so guilty about that. So one of the things that I've done to kind of help me ease out of that, or just like improve my habits with that, is turning off notifications on my smartwatch. I wear Garmin, and I like it because, well, for like the fitness aspects and the sleep aspects, and it tracks my stress. Like I love it. However, I also get all my notifications on there, like emails, apps, texts, phone calls, everything also comes through to my watch. Well, it used to. I've now turned off a lot of the notifications, so the only notifications I get are my work email, because I wear it during the day at work, so it's nice to kind of know when things are coming through. Sometimes the email's slow on our computer, so I like to get it on my watch and know that I either sent something or got an answer back. And then I have my family and like close friends still able to text me. But all those texts you get from like Dick's is 50% off, or like this store's having a sale, or spam about the presidential elections. Like I would get all those texts constantly all day, and I would always flinch and look at my wrist, and it would just consume my life. So I've turned a lot of those off, and it's definitely helped, especially while I'm at work. Not that I feel like at work I didn't really pay as much attention to it because I'm pretty good about staying off my phone. Like I'll check my phone maybe 3 times throughout the day just to like make sure everything's good. But I definitely have noticed like I'm looking at my watch less during the day, which is nice. Now, my last big bullet point for why I want to be more selfish is I'm in my 20s, and in my opinion, like your 20s is your time to be selfish in many different areas of life, like career, your friends, your family, your health, your time. Like you want to prioritize what you want to prioritize, and that's going to carry on throughout the rest of your life. I am not going to give my time up to things that don't benefit me in the long run. And I'm not going to put effort into relationships that don't benefit me, or like superficial titles and life checkpoints. Could I move out of my house right now? Yeah, I could. Is it going to be extremely stressful for me to move out like when I just started another semester of school, and also when I have a really nice situation with my parents and where I'm living right now, and I can probably save for another year before I need to move out? Yeah, I don't care if I'm still 22 and live at home, or I don't care if I do kind of care that I'm still in my hometown just because I don't particularly love it here. I don't really care about the stigma of it though. It's more so like I know I want to move to a new city. I think all those superficial titles can get really exhausting and heavy when you're in your 20s, because some people I went to high school with are like married and having kids, and it's like that is so great for you and so happy for you. I am not there, and that is okay, and I'm not gonna force myself to like get there when I want to travel. And I want to be silly and hang out with my friends. I don't want life to get so serious so quickly for me, and that's my own personal opinion. I think the 20s is your perfect time to kind of try everything, and that's what I want to do. I want to try everything, and to do that, I have to prioritize myself. I can't try everything and be everything to everyone and be available to everyone 24/7. So it's all about finding a balance. That's going to be my word for 2025, balance. I think that's a big one. I think the biggest thing to take away, at least for me, from talking and thinking about this is that I need to stop feeling guilty for things that I have no business feeling guilty about. I think that's really what holds me back. And I hope that if you also struggle with that, this kind of, motivates you to maybe think about it more, do a little bit more self-reflecting on it. And also just know that, like, there is never a point in your life where you should be living for other people. And I think I'm very guilty of that. And it's something, working on, a work in progress. I keep saying that, but truly I'm such a work in progress right now. Like, I have nothing figured out. And that's okay. Everyone figures shit out at different, time. It's all in your own time. But yeah, I feel like I'm just going to keep talking in circles, so I'm going to wrap up the episode here. I just want to say that I have a really good feeling about this year, and I'm feeling very motivated, and I hope you are too, and I'm going to continue to stick with the podcast because I'm going to be selfish and prioritize it. It's something I love to do, and I hope you stick around and join back next week. But until then, I hope you have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon, night, whenever you're listening to this, and remember to take care of yourself. I'll see you next time. Bye.